Ohio Republican and chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Jim Jordan, launched that IRS investigation. Nice to see you, Mr. Chairman. And how does it happen that over 400,000 returns or data leaks? How does that happen?
Yeah. Well, this guy that was his stated objective. He went there, he's a contractor, went there to his goal, his whole purpose was to release President Trump's tax return and others. And if we find out now, it was much worse than we thought. 405,000. Many of them are business entities, but also a lot of individuals. And of course, 6103 of the United States Federal Code, you can't do that. You can't. It's a crime. But he's only been charged under the Biden Justice Department with one count against him, when it was 405,000 entities whose data was made public and given to ProPublica and to the press.
All right. Is it a crime for the press to receive stolen goods? I mean, I know we can go back to the Pentagon Papers because there was a huge debate about that. But when we in the media get those documents, because there's some people that will publish them, whether it's, of President Trump or former President Joe Biden, at what point does it become a crime for us?
Well, I would be a little nervous about saying it's a crime for the press to print them, but it's certainly a crime what this individual did. Mr. Charles Littleton, and he should be punished for doing so, not given what I think is what a lot of people would think is a slap on the wrist by the Biden-Garland Justice Department. So, and I think you got to keep this all in context. This is the same IRS where the Democrats wanted money for 80,000 new agents. This is the same IRS who on Christmas Eve 2022, Matt Taibbi, one of the Twitter file guys, writes a piece, and that very night, Christmas Eve, they start an investigation into him, and then a few months later, when he's testifying in front of our committee, you can't make this up. When he's testifying, the IRS is knocking on his door. I mean, intimidation. So to have all this happen at the IRS, I think underscores the good work that Elon Musk and President Trump are doing, trying to make our government work a little better for we the people.
Well, the irony, of course, a lot of people don't like, and I don't particularly like people digging in the tax returns, but right. There's a lot of controversy last week about a Representative DOGE digging into the tax returns, and now we learned 400,000 tax returns were, or 400,000 data. So it's, obviously I see the irony of that. All right, who is this guy who at least had he got 5 years for all to do this? Who is he? Do you know anything about him?
I don't. We're trying to figure a little bit more of that out, but I don't. All we know is, this breach was, as you said, 5 times worse than what we initially thought, 5 times worse than what the IRS reported. And I do think the point you just made is very important, Greta. Everyone's going after Elon Musk and the DOGE effort and his team and President Trump saying, oh, they're going to get access to information. Look at what this individual did. I mean, violated the law 405,000 times. So I do think there's an irony there when you hear what the left is saying about Elon Musk and the DOGE effort.
Well, it also says a lot for our reporters down at the courthouses that someone could do a plea like that. We don't get much information about it. The fact that nobody knows who this guy is. He was a contractor. Who hired him? Why did he do it? Whether the data has been recovered or not. I don't know they can necessarily recover the data, but someone decided to give him a sweetheart deal. As you noted, each person is a separate crime, and so he got a pretty good deal. He makes, it's a pretty sweetheart deal.
Sure is, and you're exactly right. I mean, we're going to work on getting more details about this whole thing, but I think it's again a reflection of the Biden Justice Department and what their prior. I mean, remember, this is the same Justice Department. I always say can't tell us who planted the pipe bombs on January 6th. The same Justice Department can't tell us who leaked the Dobbs opinion. Same Justice Department can't even tell us who put cocaine at the White House. So, there's real problems there. So I'm really encouraged by Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, the folks who are going to the Trump Justice Department. I think it's going to be a whole different story.
Yeah, you said that you didn't want to go there and whether the media is receiving stolen property, whether it's doing anything. I must admit that I have never taken any grand jury leak information because I'm an officer of the court. I'm a lawyer. Yep. I know that's against the law, and I know that some other people do. And every time anyone else does it, I, of course, gladly read about it and report it. It's just that I've never received it. But nobody's ever really sort of discussed at what point are we in the media also able to do this when it's not national security? Yeah. It's not like the Pentagon Papers.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair question. I just look at what we saw from the Biden administration trying to censor Americans. I get very nervous about any infringement on the First Amendment In fact, I've co-sponsored the Press Act with Democrats over the years, which says that if a member of the press has a source, they don't have to give that up to the FBI if the FBI wants to come. I mean, protecting the First Amendment, I think, is really important. This may be some area where there's some question. I get that, but I'm just sensitive in light of what remember what we uncovered in the last Congress. I mean, the censorship industrial complex. We got a letter. Who would have ever thought Mark Zuckerberg would send our committee a letter where he said the Biden administration pressured us to censor. We did it. We're sorry. We won't do it in the future. And they've since changed their policy. But to admit that that was going on, that's the context I view it all in. But I think this is something we can look at.
Well, as I say, I'm glad when everybody else in the media does it. It just makes me a little bit nervous. And when we talk about the First Amendment shield, and I hope somebody protects my former colleague, Catherine Herridge, who's had quite a battle going on with people by the the Department of Justice trying to put her in jail, even with that controversy. Congressman Jim Jordan, thank you, sir.
You bet. Good to be with you, Greta.